Amanda here. Welcome to all that are joining me. Sorry I didn't get back to you last night. I did have every intention of it, but things got away from me. Hope you all had a good evening and enjoyed St. Patrick's Day. Um, I was wondering last night, it would be so much easier if something of interest was going on in the world, nothing political or anything, or, nothing too heavy. And as most of you have probably already read or heard, Chuck Berry has passed away. Not exactly what I wanted to talk about today, not exactly, good news or happy news, but a great inspiration to so many. I can't remember who it was, but someone said, even if you don't like him and you think your favorite artist might not have been influenced by him, your favorite artist's favorite artist has been influenced by him. And that's how I feel about the Beatles, as you know. Even if you don't like them, the bands you do listen to may not have been around for if it wasn't for them. And the Beatles loved Chuck Berry, so I found some fun facts and some trivia, and if anyone's interested and around or bored and just want to be nice and supportive, feel free. You can call in on Skype, DannyFan1, DHANIFAN, and the number 1. I'm just trying to tweet this out and share it on Facebook. Don't mind me. This is a free use picture of Chuck Berry. It's the only one I could find that was free use, so not sure. It says that the output is low. I figure my video is still jumping. The audio, I think, is fine. It's not buffering, so I'm just going to leave this picture up. So we'll see. See how it goes. Okay. We'll see if those things worked. Okay, the first thing I found, this is courtesy of TMZ. Chuck Berry, not just a legend of rock and roll, but one of its inventors, died Saturday outside St. Louis. St. Charles County Police responded to a medical emergency call and found Berry unresponsive. They performed CPR, but weren't able to resuscitate him, and he was pronounced dead at 1:26 p.m. Police have not released the cause of death. Berry's amazing string of hits, Johnny B. Good, Roll Over Beethoven, Maybelline, and many, many more, helped define the rock and roll sound in the 50s and 60s. His music heavily influenced the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton's, pretty much anyone in rock who picked up an electric guitar after Chuck did. Chuck was famous for busting out his signature duck walk during live shows. If you haven't seen his documentary, Hail Hail Rock and Roll, do yourself a favor and stream it tonight. He was one of the first Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's inductees in 1986, and Rolling Stone ranked Chuck Berry 6th in its greatest guitarists. Chuck Berry was 90. So, that's a shame. I know, actually, the Beatles, it's a compilation album called Live at the BBC. There were actually 2 parts released to it, both double albums. They actually covered quite a few of Chuck Berry's songs. Sweet Little 16, I really like that one. I actually heard it first from the Beatles, not Chuck Berry. Maybelline, they covered Rock and Roll Music, Roll Over Beethoven, Too Much Monkey Business, Carol. Let's see. Also, because I was ill prepared yesterday, I didn't get the biography of St. Patrick and whatnot, so I actually did get a little biography. It's Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt. His name is Charles Edward Anderson Berry, and he was born October 18th, 1926. Died today, March 18th, 2017. An American guitarist, singer, and songwriter, and one of the pioneers of rock and roll music. Berry refined and developed rhythm and blues into the major elements that made rock and roll distinctive, with lyrics focusing on teen life and consumerism, and music featuring guitar solos and showmanship that were a major influence on subsequent rock music. And the guy, I forget the guy's name. I just saw it on TV when I first heard this break, maybe an hour or two ago. Um, he took a little bit of R&B, a little bit of blues, a little bit of country, a little bit of everything, and put them together in such a way that, at that time had never been heard. Oh, I see a few people have showed up. I see Sunbird and I see Doppelganger. Hello, guys. How are ya? Thank you for joining me. Do you guys like Chuck Berry? I guess you guys have already heard the news. I really hope I'm not the one breaking it to anybody, but you know, I always vet things at TMZ if they haven't broken the story, and especially with the Mandela effect. You almost have to think, didn't he die already? But no, he's 90 years old. We don't know exactly what happened yet, according to TMZ. I grabbed that story about an hour ago. They're usually the first to update, so when they know, we'll know. Oh, there's Chris. Hello. Yeah, again, if anyone wants to join me, you can call me on Skype, DHANIFAN, and the number 1, same as on this channel. I just already read the TMZ kind of report. We don't know exactly what happened, but he was unresponsive when the emergency crew got there, so 90 years old. We can speculate, but he was born into a middle-class African-American family in St. Louis, Missouri. Berry had an interest in music from an early age and gave his first public performance at Sumner High School. While still a high school student, he was convicted of armed robbery and was sent to a reformatory, where he was held from 1944 to 1947. After his release, Berry settled into married life and worked in an automobile assembly plant. Berry claimed on The Tonight Show he was influenced primarily by 1940s swing artists, Louis Jordan. The main guy was Louis Jordan. I wanted to sing like Nat King Cole, with lyrics like Louis Jordan, with the swing of Benny Goodman, with Charlie Christian on guitar, playing Carl Hogan's riff, with the soul of Muddy Waters. Wow, aspirations. Well, and that's why he was one of the greatest, right? By early 1953, influenced by the guitar riffs and showmanship techniques of blues musician T-Bone Walker, Berry began performing with the Johnny Johnson Trio. His break came when he traveled to Chicago in May 1955 and met Muddy Waters, who suggested he contact Leonard Chess of Chess Records. With Chess, he recorded Maybelline, Berry's adaptation of the country song Ida Red, which sold over 1 million copies, reaching number 1 on Billboard magazine's Rhythm and Blues chart. By the end of the 1950s, Berry was an established star with several hit records and film appearances and a lucrative touring career. He has also established his own St. Louis nightclub, Berry's Club Bandstand, but in January 1962, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for offenses under the Mann Act, where he had transported a 14-year-old girl across state lines. After his release in 1963, Berry had more hits in the mid-60s, including No Particular Place to Go, You Never Can Tell, and Nadine. By the mid-70s, he was more in demand as a live performer, playing his past hits with local backup bands of variable quality. In 1979, he served 120 days in prison for tax evasion. Ooh, did you guys know this? Doppelganger says he got a CBC news alert about an hour after his death. Yeah, I was up until the wee hours in the morning, and yeah, slept a lot of the day, and then oh, I see buffering. And then just kind of geared up to get something going on stream. I see Chris was streaming earlier, so I watched him for a bit, him and his fish. And then Jello had the sunset out in Texas, so I just when I heard Chuck Berry had passed, I figured while the sun is setting in Texas, I could grab a few fun facts and whatnot. So it was pretty good timing actually. Again, it's not really, you know, such a sad story, but it's hello Warren, thanks for joining us. It is sad news, but I mean, hopefully this is gonna tell you guys maybe something you didn't know. Maybe you'll hear a song name that you liked and didn't realize it was him, or maybe you haven't heard in a long time and want to play again, or if I name a whole bunch of songs that you like and there's one you haven't heard, it might be a new favorite. You don't know. There's Derek. Hello. Oh, I can fix that, Derek. Oh, hold on. Dead air. Sorry. Hi. See, I get distracted. I try playing around with things, and I would like to make you a mod. I'm still on my dashboard, though. Hold on. I'm working on it, Derek. You will be rewarded for your loyalty. Or you will be when I figure out what's going on. Can you hear my vents going? I'm working on it, Derek. Oh, and I hear me. Okay. Okay, now I am where I want to be. There you go. Okay, a little bit of buffering. I'm not liking that. That's why I decided not to use my camera. Instead, I just put up a picture so we would avoid the buffering and the jumping. How is the audio sounding? I know I'm saying a lot. I'm not as proficient a reader as Sarah was, because Storytime with Sarah last night was awesome. She read us Rumpelstiltskin. I tend to trip over my words. I don't know why. I don't mean to. There's one last little thing here on his biography. So it's just Barry was amongst the first musicians to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame after its opening in 1986. He was cited for having laid the groundwork for not only rock and roll sound, but a rock and roll stance. Barry is inducted in several of Rolling Stones magazine's greatest of all time lists. He was ranked 5th on its 2004 list of the greatest 100 oh my god, on the list of 100 greatest artists of all times. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll includes 3 of Barry's, which are Johnny B. Good, Maybelline, and Rock and Roll Music. And Barry's Johnny B. Good is the only rock and roll song included on the Voyager Golden Record. So, again, that was just a short little biography that was from Wikipedia. I unfortunately don't know that much about his personal life and his history, so I would say it's pretty accurate. I mean, if it was something way, way out there, I'm sure people would have cited it by now, right? Okay, everyone's saying that the sound sounds good. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so again, like I said, I didn't read all of this stuff. I just kind of grabbed some interesting little facts, some interesting little biographies, whatnot. So some of the information may get repeated. Um, like I remember when I was reading that entry. Well, obviously some of it came up in TMZ's little article, but I know some of the fun facts I have were already read in that little biography from Wikipedia. So you're welcome, Derek. So that was the TMZ one. Wikipedia. We have fun facts. Okay, well this was touched on in the little Wikipedia, but here's a little more. Chuck Berry once opened a restaurant called the Southern Air in Missouri. According to a former waitress, Berry wired the women's toilet with a video camera and recorded some 200 unsuspecting patrons using it. Charges were dropped when Berry agreed to compensate the victims of his potty cam financially. Wow, sorry, I feel like this is blasphemous. I mean, yeah, it happened, he did it, whatever, but I mean, this story just broke that he passed. I feel kind of bad having read that because that's pretty serious and it's pretty disturbing on a lot of levels. Sorry for that one, guys. Well, now you know. The melody of the Beach Boys classic "Surfin' USA" is almost identical to the melody of Chuck's 1958 classic "Sweet Little 16." They sounded so alike, in fact, that the Beach Boys had to give Berry co-writing credit in order to avoid a lawsuit. A profitable experience in the end for Mr. Berry. Something similar to that happened in with John Lennon. Come Together. Here Come a Little Flat Top. And that's why he had the, was it rock and roll music kind of compilation album there in the late 70s. I was going to look that up, but again, lawsuits and ugliness. Okay, I know this one's going to come up again later because I had read a little bit of this. Ever the food lover, Chuck loves to eat the following. And this is not the first time I've seen a list. And I mean, he opened a restaurant and stuff, so I mean, he apparently was a bit of a foodie. So some of his favorites included beef, seafood, peaches, home fries, candied yams, chili, grape soda, orange juice, Snicker bars, and Dutch apple pie. However, I mean, I didn't know this about him, but apparently it's an ongoing thing in his life because I've seen a few lists now about his favorite foods. However, he despises liver, okra, gumbo, celery, carrots, cooked onions, grapefruit, salami, and liquor. A side note here says it's best to keep him happy. I didn't write these again. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird actually that cooked onions are down on the list because I like raw onions, although they kill my stomach. But when they're cooked or fried or whatever, I find they taste it's the texture. They're like really slimy and gross, and I don't like fried onions either. Which is weird. I don't like cucumbers, but I like pickles, and it's basically the same thing. So I'm seeing the quotes in here. I know. Let's see, another little fun fact, and I'm trying to briefly read over them now because I don't. Yeah, well, I see one that I think I might end up skipping. But this one seems nice. Starting young, Chuck sang at his St. Louis Church Baptist choir at the age of 6. His first notable performance was on his school's music stage singing Confessin' the Blues, accompanied by his friend Tommy Stevens on guitar. Stevens' impressive guitar licks soon inspired him to learn how to play the instrument himself. Mm, I think I'm going to skip that little fact. Okay, and the fast facts I had, yeah, some of them already came up already. His birth name, Charles Edward Anderson Berry. Nicknames, the father of rock and roll, and the prime minister of rock and roll. So, keeping it well, I can't even say universal because they're missing a lot. Occupation, musician. Born October 18th, 1926 in St. Louis, Missouri. His parents were Henry and Martha Berry. I did not know that. I like that name, Martha. You don't hear that very often nowadays, but I like that. Wife Thermetta Shuggs Berry. And his children Darlin Ingrid Berry Clay, Melody Exis Berry Eskridge, Aloha Issa Lee Berry, and Charles Edward Berry Jr. He has siblings, Henry, Thelma, Lucy, Paul, and Martha. And now it says here weight 180 pounds, but I mean, when was that taken? I didn't, because I saw that and I said that you can't really say his weight because who knows when that came in, right? Musically influenced by Nat King Cole and Muddy Waters, and his trademark was the duck walk. And then again, under favorites, it says the exact same list: food he enjoys and food he despises. So this must have been a thing. I hate to keep going back to the Beatles. I've censored myself twice now with side note Beatles stories, but George Harrison said once that he liked the Jelly Babies. They're like licorice, and they used to get pelted on stage after he said that. People would just buy them and throw them during the performance, thinking, I'm gonna give my sweetheart some candy, but, it was kind of threatening, kind of off-putting, but oh, I think Chris got injured, cracked a tooth. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Chris. Okay, take care of yourself. No worries. His hobbies included, besides playing music, of course, softball, 20 questions, chess, croquet, and highway driving. And his favorite comedian was Lucille Ball. I would like to do 20 questions too. That would be fun if I had some people on. Maybe not tonight, but one day. I think that would be fun. But I mean, it's going to be so broad. We'd have to, kind of limit it to some kind of category. But it has actually been something I was thinking about. So let me know, guys, what you guys think, if that would be fun for an evening sometime. Sorry, just editing through the fun facts or fast facts or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, a lot of these. Again, he served 120 days in prison in 1979 for tax evasion for that. Yeah, see, I don't really like these. In 1988, in New York City, he paid a $250 fine to settle a $5 million lawsuit from a woman who he allegedly punched in the mouth. Okay, well that doesn't sound real. Because how could you be sued for $5 million, but if I give you $250, not $250 million, but just $250, you'll drop a $5 million lawsuit? Do you think that happened? I don't know. Yeah, these aren't very nice. Before he became a famous musician, he studied to become a beautician at the Poro College of Cosmetology. That's interesting. Didn't I hear that about someone else? Isn't there another rock star that went into cosmetology? I mean, unless I had heard this story about him before and it's him that I'm remembering, but for some reason that sounds very, very familiar to me. What about you guys? I know there's a 30-second delay, so um, I wonder. If I think about it later, I'll look into it. In the 1970s, Barry went on tour by himself, taking only his guitar with him. He would hire different bands at each location and expect everyone to know all of his songs. He wouldn't even provide the bands a set list, also expecting them to know what he was playing when he started each song. I don't know. What do you think about that? Hello, Jay. Jay the Lurker. Nice of you to join us. I don't know. See, in a way that's kind of snobbish, but in another way, like, if I was Chuck Berry and I walked into a bar with a few different bands, right? And I said, okay, I need a band to play with me. Because I'm famous, of course, they're all going to want to play with me, but, you know, just because you want to get fame by playing with me, like, is that enough? But if you know all of my songs and you can tell what song I'm singing in the first few notes, then I know you're a fan and I know that, I can trust you and you're gonna do a really good show and stuff. So, in a way, actually, I mean, I kind of laughed when I was reading it, but I think that's alright. I don't think that was too snobby, and I mean, it's Chuck Berry, and by this time, if he was doing this in the 70s, I don't know. Just, it would make sense that. I don't know. It makes sense to me. I think that was the right thing to do. What do you guys think? Oh, I see Jello. I see Duplicate. How is everybody this evening? What do you guys think of Chuck Berry? Are you guys fans? I mean, I'm sure he's been covered by so many bands over the years. Do you guys have any bands that you really like that have covered a Chuck Berry song, or were you surprised to find maybe one of your bands had covered some of his songs, or? Sorry, just reading the side chat. Let's see. Okay, and this came up before in I don't know, I think it was the Wikipedia one, but there's a little more here. When he first presented his hit song to be Maybelline to Leonard Chess of Chess Records, the song had a different name, Ida May, which Berry had adapted from a country song called Ida Red. Mr. Chess loved the song, but didn't like the name. Looking around the office, he saw a box of Maybelline mascara on the windowsill behind a secretary's desk. He suggested Berry use that name instead, but to change the spelling for legal reasons. The rest is history. That was interesting. Derek's a fan of all genres. He's one of those people that will have anything from classical to rock and roll to hip hop all in the same playlist. A bit of diversity, that's nice. I have some trivia questions. I know some people are getting here late and may not have heard all the biography and stuff, so let me hold off on that for a little bit. There's about 15 questions I found. I think some. Oh no, maybe not. Sorry, I thought I had something else ready for you after that. I thought there was another. I don't know. Again, a lot of these were repeating, so let's see. And with the 30-second delay, it's going to be hard. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can do this. In what year was rock and roll pioneer Chuck Berry born? You have four options. A is 1936. B is 1931. C is 1926. And D is 1921. There's 36, 31, 26, 21. What year was rock and roll pioneer Chuck Berry born? And I don't think you're allowed to play the Jeopardy tune. And I think that's actually called, what is it? Tommy's lullaby? It's someone's lullaby. $30 is a long time. Derek picks C, 1926. Do we have any other takers? Again, I don't know when people were getting here, if they heard this, if they already knew this, if, you know. Well, I think with the delay, even if you put your answers in now, you won't hear the reveal for another 30 seconds, so you can still play. Again, I'm working on the timing here, guys, with my lists to see how long it goes, and, yeah, and with the delay. Derek is correct. It is C. It is 1926. Barry was born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1926. Number 2, what brand of electric guitar does Barry primarily play? I don't think this came up so far, so if we have any musicians that might know, and don't Google, don't cheat. The options are A, Epiphone, B, Ibanez, C, Fender, or D, Gibson. I hope I'm not mispronouncing these. Epiphone, 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 Ibanez, 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 Fender, Fender, I know that one, and a Gibson, Gibson, and I know that one. So that's, what brand of electric guitar did Barry primarily play? A, Epiphone, B, Ibanez, C, Fender, D, Gibson. Hi, City Lights. Welcome. It's in the photo for stream. Okay, well, I'm looking at Notepad. You know what? And that's funny because I was just about to say, although I couldn't pronounce the first two, I said I know what a Fender is and I know what a Gibson is. You know what? I don't really. I mean, I've heard of them, is what I should have said. I've heard of those kind of guitars, but if I looked at a guitar, I wouldn't know. Not really. But, yeah. Gibson, City Light says, Gibson Holobody? Derek's guessing either C or D. The correct answer is a Gibson. It says Barry mostly plays the Gibson ES350 and sometimes the Gibson ES355 guitars. Question 3. Released in 1957, which of the following albums was Barry's debut? A is One Dozen Berries. B is Chuck Berry is on Top. C is Chuck Berry. And D is After School Sessions. So in 1957, which of the following albums was Chuck Berry's first debut album? I know Duplicate City Lights is like that. He uses logic and reason. It's a real grind. Duplicate said City Lights is cheating. He's paying attention. Okay, so released in 1957, which of the following albums was Barry's debut? A, One Dozen Berries. B, Chuck Berry is on Top. C, Chuck Berry. And D, After School Sessions. City Lights is guessing C, Chuck Berry. The correct answer is actually D. It's After School Sessions. It was produced by Chess Records. Willie Dixon played bass on the album. It was a good attempt, though. Question number 4. Released in 1987. Which documentary film chronicles 2 1986 concerts celebrating Chuck Berry's 60th birthday? Is it A, We Will Rock You, B, Still Crazy, C, Hail Hail Rock and Roll, and D, Shut Up and Play the Hits? Okay, so this is a documentary that was released in 1987, and the documentary chronicles two 1986 concerts celebrating Chuck Berry's 60th birthday. We have four options. What was the name of the documentary called? Was it A, We Will Rock You, B, Still Crazy, C, Hail Hail Rock and Roll, or D, Shut Up and Play the Hits? You actually hear a lot of people saying D at concerts, trying to flog a new album and all this stuff you haven't heard before and you don't care to hear. Shut up and play the hits. Duplicate and Chuck Duplicate and Chuck Berry. I was gonna say Duplicate and Derek are both saying C. They are both correct. It is C. It is Hail Hail Rock and Roll. The film features many different artists, including Linda Ronstadt, Keith Richards, and Eric Clapton. And Jay is asking if I'm making up the wrong answers. I'm not making up the wrong answers. I'm not making up any answers. Do you disagree? I see Derek said Maybelline was his first song. Was it C, Chuck Berry? That was for the previous question. Again, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of buffering going on. I'm really hoping not, but the audio was fine, so. But no, I'm not making up the answers. They're good guesses, and yeah, you're doing really well, Derek. You were doing really well yesterday with the we didn't get to the trivia, but you were answering a lot of questions that we were throwing out when we were playing the fun facts of St. Patrick's Day. Okay, we have a few more questions here. Number 5. Which Chuck Berry song had the lyric, "I've got no kick against modern jazz unless they try to play it too darn fast"? That was really, really hard not to sing. I tried to say it slowly and non-rhythmically. That was really hard to do because I know the answer to this. Again, the lyric is, "I've got no kick against modern jazz unless they try to play it too darn fast." What lyric is that song from? Is it A, Johnny B. Good, B, Rock and Roll Music, C, Let It Rock, or D, Roll Over Beethoven? Option X, that's always a good option to go with, City Lights. No, like, oh, AB, no, I'm not, no, I don't know Chuck Berry that well to be, I mean, I only found out he passed a little while ago when Jello was streaming The Sunset, so I just tried to grab some, I found a lot of really good quizzes, but they didn't have the answer, or I would actually have to go through the whole quiz myself. So I didn't go with these ones, but these had multiple choice. They had answers showing, and they had all the answers and a little bit of detail. So I figured this one would be a good one. I like it, and nice questions, and which is good because actually a lot of these questions came up in the biographies and the fun facts I was reading earlier. So if you were paying attention, some of them aren't. A lot of them aren't actually. I shouldn't say that. I saw a few. City Lights is going with A or B. Duplicate is considering B. Derek is going to stick with C. No, copy and paste to Notepad. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do that with games, so in the future, if nothing's going on, I can play games and trivia quizzes and stuff like that, because rather than bringing up a million tabs in the background, I'm already buffering as is. There is no expected for my area tomorrow too. Surprise. So we'll see. We'll see what goes on. Anyway, the lyric again: I've got no kick against modern jazz unless they try to play it too darn fast. And it was B, Rock and Roll Music. Released in 1957, Rock and Roll Music is from Barry's album One Dozen Berries. That's a cute name. Yes, and the Beatles cover it, and John Lennon sings lead on that one, and yeah, it's a ripper, dude. It's great. It's fun. I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a musician myself, but I would assume it's one of those songs that everyone enjoys playing. Good guesses. Good guesses, everyone. Duplicat actually got that one. City Lights, he said A or B. Half a point. I'll give you half a point for that one. And no, if you guess A, B, C, and D, you are not going to get 1/4 of a point. Okay, number 6. As of 2016, how many number one hits has Chuck Berry had on the Billboard Hot 100 chart? Is it A, 5, B, 1, C, 7, or D, 3? This is as of oh my god. As of 2016, you guys know how I do with numbers. It's not good. As of 2016, how many number one hits has Chuck Berry had on the Billboard Hot 100 chart? A, 5, B, 1, C, 7, or D, 3? City Lights, I cannot wait until the weather is warmer so I can go out hunting for Pokemon again. His guess is C7. Duplicat's going with A5. Again, as of 2016, how many number one hits has Chuck Berry had on the Billboard Hot 100 chart? A5, B1, C7, D3. Derek is picking option B1, and he is suggesting that the song was My Ding-a-Ling. But the good guy he is, he owned up to it. He said it was in his tribute link that he posted earlier. And Jay, I was gonna say that actually about the last question with what's the lyric from Back to the Future, and Michael J. Fox plays Johnny B. Good, and that's a really cute scene, where he's like, "It's your cousin, Marvin Berry." They actually recreated that in Family Guy. What was it? Rick Astley, but I can't remember what the cousin's name was supposed to be. And fun. Anyway, yeah, Derek is right. It is B. It's surprising, isn't it? Someone that influenced so many people, and such, standard riffs nowadays. He only had one number one hit. It was in 1972, and it was My Ding-a-Ling. And John Lennon actually covered that. Well, I don't even know if you'd consider it cover, because he didn't really do it polished and record it and release it. It was kind of, I don't know. I think it was more for a laugh, but I have heard John Lennon singing that song, and I want to say that it is actually on the album they did with Tony Sheridan, when it was Tony Sheridan with the Beat Brothers. They were a backing band when they did the single My Bonnie. I have a feeling it's on that album, John Lennon singing My Ding-a-Ling, and it's funny. It's cute. Anyway, question 7. Berry was one of the first stars to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What year did that happen? Is it A, 1986, B, 1996, C, 1966, or D, 1976? this came up. Derek, you probably saw. I'm sure you saw this in your tribute as well. This came up in the Wikipedia one that I read, and I think it was in the TMC one I read. See, because I remember reading when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame first became a thing, and then I thought it was the following year, so I may have misread something or misremembered something, but he was one of the first stars to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What year did that happen? Was it A, 1986, B, 1996, C, 1966, or D, 1976? City Lights is going for 86. And Derek is guessing A, 1986, and says it was the same year as Elvis. Duplicat is also going with 86. City Lights also said he wasn't famous till the Beatles and the Stones covered him. I would agree. I think a lot of the problem was with all the segregation. It wasn't proper for white children to be listening to black musicians. And I can't remember where I read it, but I remember reading somewhere back in the day, the attitude was the worst thing in the world for something to happen would be if a young white girl fell for, like, a black musician. So, like, like a 14-year-old white girl idolizing Chuck Berry back in the day, like, I don't know. Like, black musicians weren't allowed to perform in front of white audiences, or vice versa. I can't remember. I wasn't there, obviously, but you know what I mean? Like, they had to smuggle, and especially in England, there was really nothing. So they were smuggling in this underground American music, and a lot of it was, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, black musicians no one heard. But then it's almost like when clean cut young white men started playing it, it was acceptable, except that, their hair was longer than girls and they sang so loud you couldn't understand the words. So said the elderly, so said the parents, but we know better now, don't we? Anyway, yes, everyone is right. It was 1986. The answer was A. 15 other rock performers were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986, including Elvis, so you called that one Derek, Buddy Holly, and Robert Johnson. So that's interesting. See, because I thought they said that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame only came into existence in 86, and that's why I was thinking maybe the next year in 87, so I'm wondering, I'll have to check that out if it was that the first? Was that the very first? It said one of the first, so I wonder if that was the first kind of award ceremony, if he was in the inaugural class, or I don't know. Anyway, this one came up. Oh. See, I saw this question earlier, so there's something wrong. I'm going to have to research something, cuz the question is, how many children does Chuck Berry have? A is 9, B is 6, C is 0, and D is 3. But I already read you the names of his children, and I read you 4 names. 3 girls and a boy, and 4 isn't an option, so I'm... See, but then the other question was as of 2016, so... Let me see. I'm gonna double check this, because something... Chuck Berry's children? Okay, see? It says here 4 as well, so that question is wrong. The answer, it said C. Sorry, it said D, that he had 3 kids. It says Berry has been married to Themeta Shuggs since 1948. That was the answer given in this quiz, but right here, Ingrid Berry, Aloha Berry, Charles Berry Jr., and Melody X's Berry Eskridge are his 4 children, so I apologized on that one. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opened April 20th, 1983. Thank you, Derek. Okay. So 3 years later. I wonder. I might check that out later, see who the first ones were. The very first year. I wonder who those people would have been. I mean, if it took 3 years to get Chuck Berry in there, I like doing shows like these. That now it gets me thinking, and again, fun little facts that you can use in Jeopardy one day. Okay, question 9. Which of the following songs was not recorded by Chuck Berry? A. Wee Wee Hours. B. Little Queenie. C. That'll Be the Day. And D. Roll Over Beethoven. Which of the following songs was not recorded by Chuck Berry? Seeing that one, I'm not really sure how to interpret that one because I mean, it's not really fair. I can't really play because I do have the answer in front of me. I know for a fact the answer I knew wasn't written by him, but that's not to say he never covered it. Right? So that would be recorded, not written, but that's not what the question's asking. So, which of the following songs was not recorded by Chuck Berry? The options are A. Wee Wee Hours. B. Little Queenie. C. That'll Be the Day. And D. Roll Over Beethoven. Which one was not recorded by Chuck Berry? Oh, Jay has given us a Maury Povich reference. Chuck Berry, you are not the father. Those ones are the best. I haven't seen Maury in years and years. I don't know if he still does not live shows, but like new shows, does he? It seems like they're always replayed, but they seem like they're always from like a couple of years ago. So I'm not sure if he's actually still doing that show or not, but those ones were the best. Unfortunately, I don't like the editing in that show because you know the answer before you sit through the drama, but yeah, it's cute. Duplicat and Derek are both saying C. That'll Be the Day. I keep losing audio. Uh-oh. Is that on my end? Is anyone else having audio issues? Is it like the audio I'm sending out, or are you having issues on your end, Derek? Either way, I hope they get resolved. The answer is C. So That'll Be the Day. It was originally recorded by Buddy Holly and the Crickets in 1957. See, That'll Be the Day. I did know that was a Buddy Holly song, but who's to say he never covered? I mean, maybe he didn't, but for some reason, I have a feeling Chuck Berry was a Buddy Holly fan. So, question 10. Which of the following albums was not released by Chuck Berry? A. New Jukebox Hits. B. Back Home. C. Two Great Guitars. And D. The Return of Rock. Which of the following albums was not released by Chuck Berry? A. New Jukebox Hits. B. Back Home. C. Two Great Guitars. Or D. The Return of Rock. I hear you loud and clear, Jay. I think it was on my end. Okay. Yeah, well, no, I'm just waiting to see if no one else has said anything about it, so fingers crossed. New Jukebox Hits, Back Home, Two Great Guitars, The Return of Rock. Which of the following albums was not released by Chuck Berry? City Lights is going with C, Two Great Guitars. The sad thing is, I mean, I don't think I could name any Chuck Berry albums. I mean, I guess I can now, and now that we've taken this little quiz, but it's, again, it's one of those artists, like, there are so many songs that influence people. When you see the name, you can instantly, recall the tune or whatever, but I could not name you any of his albums before tonight, and Derek is also going with C. Duplicate is considering B, Back Home. I should have been the scorekeeper for you. Thank you, Jay. You know what? Actually, I found some really, really fun games to play one night with either if you want to join me on Skype or just take part in the live chat. They're those little, those silly little personality tests like, what kind of friend are you based on your favorite color? Those kind of things. But there are a few that you have to keep score, and it's like, you get a point every time you answer yes, and 2 points every time you answer no, or whatever, and just silly little things like that. Again, just for entertainment, something to do one night. You guys can let me know if that sounds like fun for you, or if that sounds painfully boring. I don't know. Again, I got nothing. I make it up as I go along. And you're all invited to come along too. Okay, the answer is actually D, The Return of Rock. The Return of Rock was released by Jerry Lee Lewis in 1965. I didn't know that. Again, if I heard any of these names, I couldn't have guessed that Jerry Lee Lewis had The Return of Rock. But yeah, the answer was D. Question 11, and this has come up a few times, and the Beatles covered it, so I know that I've talked about this song already on the stream. So, question 11 is, finish the title to this number one Chuck Berry hit. Sweet Little... Is it A, Kisses, B, Susie, C, 16, or D, Girl? So is it Sweet Little Kisses, Sweet Little Susie, Sweet Little 16, or Sweet Little Girl? Finish the title to this number one Chuck Berry hit. Derek, I was thinking truth or dare, but one, how are you going to know for sure if the person's telling you the truth or not? And with the dares, you would have to have a wireless camera so you could prove you're doing whatever it is you were supposed to be doing. It would be hard. I mean, it would be fun, and technically, yes, I guess it is doable, but I mean, are you going to come on live and play with us? You get a group together. I mean, I don't know. You have a channel, don't you, Derek? I'm not sure. I mean, if you can pull it together, I don't mind streaming it, but I'm not posting bail for anybody that gets arrested. Derek says C. Duplicate says A. It's a good plan. I mean, really, with the technology today, anything you can consider doing, I'm sure there is a way of putting it together. And truth or dare would be fun. The answer is C, 16. Sweet Little 16. And the Beatles cover it on Live at the BBC. Berry released Sweet Little 16 as a single in 1958. So good for Derek. He's rocking it. Oh, movie 43 reference. Oh, I didn't catch that. Yeah. See, again. City Lights, you watched movie 43 with me, didn't you? I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. Oh, and side note, okay. I can't remember who it was yesterday, but they were saying that as long as there's commentary, you can play whatever video you wanted. So you don't necessarily have to be on camera, you just have to talk every once in a while. Would it be worth it if I played, like, a TV show or something, or a movie? I mean, 'cause I could suggest a movie and people could watch it on their own time. If I play a movie and don't say anything, I don't think I'm going to make it to the end of the movie before the bot zap me. Would it, I mean, because everyone says they hate that person that won't shut up in the movie theater when you're trying to watch a movie, right? So, me running commentary on a movie I want to share with you guys is kind of taking away from the movie by talking over it, you know what I mean? So, what would you rather? You know, I mean, I could suggest, if you guys want to watch a movie Friday night and then Saturday we could do a live stream and talk about it, yeah, or I could play a movie and just, I don't know, throw in fun facts, but then, I'd be talking over other conversations and stuff. Basically, what I want to do, I want to stream all 3 seasons of the Ricky Gervais Show, and I'd like to play all 7 Saw movies. Could do a mystery science theater during the movie. That says Derek. Jay says, I think we can put the movie on mute and make up our own commentary. See, I mean, their ideas, like... See, I was thinking, like, I have actually seen all of the Saw movies with commentary, with every commentary available, like producers and cast and directors and this and that, like, talking about different things. So I could, give you fun little facts, like something about this scene or something they were thinking about when they were editing it together, or parts that got cut that no one has ever seen. Like, I could throw in commentary, but then are you really going to enjoy the movie? And the Ricky Gervais Show, there's so much nonsense that Carl talks about, but these conversations happened over 15 years ago. So it's actually funny that some of these crazy ramblings have been done by science now. So I could, I'm wondering, I could pause the thing and say, they're laughing at him now, but look at this article that I found. So, I mean, it would work, but, I mean, is it worth it? Would it just be too annoying? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, anyway. Question 12. As of 2016, not including his Lifetime Achievement Award, how many Grammy Awards has Chuck Berry won? Is it A, 0, B, 6, C, 4, or D, 2? This is as of last year, as of 2016, not including his Lifetime Achievement Award. How many Grammy Awards has Chuck Berry won? A, 0, B, 6, C, 4, D, 2. I will check out Mystery Science Theater, Derek. Thank you. 3,000. I mean, again, even something like that I would be open to if, I could get enough people on Skype to each play a role. I mean, we could act out our own little mystery theater, like the old radio shows, old time radio. As of 2016, not including his Lifetime Achievement Award, how many Grammy Awards has Chuck Berry won? A, 0, B, 6, C, 4, D, 2. Derek is guessing 0, which is answer A. Duplicat is guessing D, which is 2. Any other takers? Again, Derek is on fire tonight. He is right. 0. Chuck Berry has not received any Grammy Awards. Can you believe it? Another stunner. But in 1987, Berry did receive a star on the Hollywood Boulevard in California. So I guess that's some consolation. Question 13. Which of the following Chuck Berry albums was first to be released? Did we not have this question already? Let me just double check. We had what year he was born, his guitar. Yeah, which of the following albums was Barry's debut? Okay, what question did I leave off on? Okay, this again. Chuck Berry's first album. Oop. And you guys can hear me typing too. Okay, I don't know. Okay, this is now the third different answer I've gotten. Okay, hold on. What question was it now? Sorry, I'm scrolling back and forth. Okay, question 3 was released in 1957. Which of the following albums was Barry's debut? The answer was After School Sessions, produced by Chess Records, and it said Willie Dixon played bass on the album. Okay, now this is question 13. It says, which of the following Chuck Berry albums was the first to be released? Am I missing something? Did I read that wrong? What was the first to debut and what was the first to be released? Because these options are A, Rocket, B, Chuck Berry, C, Chuck Berry and Memphis, and D, Fresh Berries. I'm definitely missing something here. Because question 3 said released in 57. Which of the following albums was Berry's debut? One Dozen Berries, Chuck Berry is on Top, Chuck Berry, and After School Sessions. They said it was After School Sessions in 57. See, and then this question, the options are Rocket, Chuck Berry in Memphis, and Fresh Berries. And the answer that they're crediting here says Fresh Berries and says it was released in November 65. Okay, so there is a big discrepancy right there in the years. So I went to Google it. I said Chuck Berry's first album, and it comes up Rock, Rock, Rock. And that was not an option of either of the questions. So out of all 8 possible answers, the correct answer wasn't even listed. So I apologize for that. I'm going to see what year it gives me. If it gives me a year. See, this is what I was trying to avoid because it might be buffering and my audio might be jumping because discography. Oh, that didn't work. Sorry, dead air. I know, I hate it. It's driving me crazy too. I feel your pain. Okay, it says Rock, 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 December 56, which even predates question 3, which was saying 1957. So, scratch that. I'm surprised too. And like I said, I didn't know, so sorry. I mean, I guess maybe don't trust some of this information. I guess, if, I don't know. See, they got the kids wrong, and in the same quiz, because I got these all off the same quiz, and they asked the same questions with different options, and none of them had the right answer. That's really weird. Debut different than release. Well, that's what I was thinking, but they said the debut was 57, and that the release, a totally different album, was 65. What I'm seeing right now on Google is December 56 for Rock, Rock, Rock. Now I'm wondering if they're talking debut as in a single and an album release, a full album, but again, that's still, 8 years? Fake news, I know. I know. That's not. Oh, NSA. I'm not trying to be a disinfo agent. I'm really not. So, okay, well, I mean, There are two more questions. Let's see if we can trust them. I don't know. Hold on. Oh, I got a message. Okay. Scrolling. Okay, number 14. We'll see. Well, but that thing about only having one number one hit, I did read that a few places that it was My Dingling, and that that was 57, was it not? So then that makes more sense. I am going to trust Google on this one rather than the quiz, because if the album came out in 56 and My Dingling was the only hit in 57, that makes sense. Question 14. What was the peak position that Barry's song Johnny Be Good placed at on the Billboard's Hot 100 chart in 1958? So, out of Billboard's Hot 100 chart in 1958, what is the peak position that Johnny Be Good placed at? Is it A, 60, B, 40, C, 20, or D, 80? It's hard to believe a song that good. You have 60, 40, 20, 80. So, best case scenario, if it was 20, out of the top 100, it only hit number 20. That would be surprising. The lowest possible option here is 80, and could you imagine? Johnny Be Good, such a covered, iconic song. I couldn't imagine. So it's A, 60, B, 40, C, 20, and D, 80. What was the peak position that Barry's song Johnny Be Good placed at on Billboard's Hot 100 chart in 1958? Duplicat is going with 40. Derek is going with option A, which is 60. City Lights is wondering why the NSA keeps following him. Oh, Derek's hedging his bet. Oh, do we count it? He went with A, but he's changing to C, and now he is committing to C, final answer. So he thinks that it reached 20. Duplicat, are you staying firm at 40? We have A, 60, B, 40, C, 20, and D, 80. According to this test, may not be true in the real world, but according to this test, they say that Johnny Be Good only ranked number 80 out of Billboard's Hot 100 chart in 1958. It reached number 80. It says Johnny Be Good is ranked as number 7 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 songs of all time. So But again, Billboard is not Rolling Stone, so this is Billboard's Hot 100 chart in 1958. It reached 80. That's a surprise. Okay, and the last question I have here is, what Chuck Berry song opens with the lyric, "Running to and fro, hard working at the mill, never fail in the mail"? I say that again. Running to and fro, hard working at the mill, never fail in the mail. That's the beginning of a song. What song is that? Option A is Almost Grown. B is No Particular Place to Go. C is Too Much Monkey Business. And D is Around and Around. And City Lights is leaving. I think he's tucking in for John B. Wells. Good night, City. Thank you for joining. I may be there shortly. This is the last question of the night. I have been streaming. I don't know how long I've been streaming. A little over an hour, I think. I think that's good. I mean, again, I digress a lot in the conversation. Well, I mean, conversation with you guys. It would be different if I had people on with me. Again, anytime I'm ever on, even if you don't have me on Skype, you can still call. It's the same as the YouTube channel. It's DannyFan1, DHANIFAN 1. I am actually, I was talking to Mark D'Antonio for about 4 hours last night. I just wanted to put some things into timeline perspective. He has agreed to let me interview him. I'm very, very excited. I don't know when. Whenever he has free time, I have some basic ideas of where I want to go. I just wanted to put a few things in chronological order. Because I mean, obviously, could you imagine if I just let it riff in an interview? I mean, we would be dancing all over the place. So, at least this way, when I get so far off the conversation, I forget what we're talking about, I can look at a note and say, okay, back on track. I think Mark's like that too. He gets caught up in stories and it digresses, which I love and which I really, really hope the interview does evolve into. I want it to be natural and, just a conversation, but I'm far too much of a scatterbrain to not keep some kind of list. So we'll see how it goes. It should be coming soon. It'll be live. Get your questions ready. And again, another reason you might want to add me to Skype if you want to talk to the man himself. I will be interviewing Dave Shock shortly too. Again, just setting up a time, but I'll let you guys know. Any interviews or topics that you think I should do or you have an interest in that I may as well, let me know. Okay, the last question. Running to and fro, hard working at the mill, never fail in the mail. Is that the lead intro to Almost Grown, No Particular Place to Go, Too Much Monkey Business, or Around and Around? Derek says C. Duplicate says B. Ask Mark about the CME supposedly headed towards Earth. Okay, I will do that. I know I'm not sure what the conference is, but he's heading to a conference in New York tomorrow, so I think he said he was driving, so he may be on the road now. I don't know the details, but we can definitely ask him about it when he comes on and see where it goes from there. Okay, the answer to number 15, Derek got it. It is C, Too Much Monkey Business. It was released as a single in 1956. That is also on the Beatles Live at the BBC. I love that song. It is so catchy. Everything about it. I mean, when you see, it's hard. Like if you listen to music from today's standards, like it's kind of basic. Like I don't know. And again, I'm not a musician, so I really maybe shouldn't be offering my opinion on this, but I mean, it's very simple, it's clean, it's and it's perfect. It's just such a catchy, fun song. It's fun to dance to, it's fun to sing to. I I would imagine it would be fun to play to whatever instrument, not necessarily for a guitarist, but for a drummer. I think it's just fun all around, and the Beatles did a wonderful cover of it. And I mean, I just think, you take out Chuck Berry, and it's like a domino effect in a full 360 because, it not only influenced like rock and roll and a lot of the, great bands we got in the 60s, but also made it a little more acceptable for the white youth to listen to black artists. So, I mean, it opened the door for a lot of musicians, a lot of people, and really, I mean, he changed the culture of music, which in turn inspired other people. The guy I was listening to earlier, it was funny because he was one of the first people to talk about like girls and cars and stuff, and the kind of stuff that teenagers talked about and cared about and were interested in. And that was the first time that kind of thing really happened. So, you can say, yeah, the early Beatles and even, some other bands, it was about I Want to Hold Your Hand and Love Me Do and all that kind of sweet stuff. But, I mean, yeah, that's where it started. But if they hadn't have picked up guitars, I mean, we wouldn't have reverb, we wouldn't have distortion. I mean, maybe we would have gotten there, but it's like if the Beatles weren't inspired by Chuck Berry, then bands today wouldn't have been inspired by the Beatles, or bands of the 80s wouldn't have been, you know, I don't know. You guys know what I mean. I know you know what I mean. Hi, Rockstar. I'm just getting ready to sign off, so you're a little late. Sorry. But I do hope to be doing this more often. Again, if you guys want to join me, I wasn't planning on doing a Chuck Berry thing today, but unfortunately, as most of you have heard, he did pass away today at 90 years old at 1:26 p.m. in and where was it? California? He wasn't in St. Charles County Police, so I'm not sure where that was, but yeah. So he passed away at 90. He had a great life, led a great life, inspired others to lead great lives, I think, and there's a reason to get together tonight anyway. So not the most pleasant topic, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway, and maybe learned a thing or two, or were reminded of a nice song from your youth, or just, I mean, even like kids in the 80s that grew up watching Back to the Future. That iconic scene with Michael J. Fox, that was Chuck Berry, So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to have grown up with that music, but you, in some way, something you care about, if you trace it back, it would have come back to these kind of roots, so had to at least acknowledge it tonight. We'll see what goes on. I'm going to call it a night for now. I hope everyone had fun. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe. And we'll do it again soon. Give me some ideas. You can, for those on Facebook, send me messages or ideas. If you have me on Skype, if you guys have something you want to talk about but don't have a channel, let me know. Come on, I'll stream if there's an important message. That's what I'd like to do is, if there's something important going on in the world and maybe we could do our bit to raise awareness, that would be nice. So if anything is going on in your local area, let me know. Ideas for future shows, let me know. And we'll do it again. Peace.